Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome back to another video. Now, I made an earlier video about General Grievous facing off against Mace Windu and Kit Fisto during the Battle of Coruscant, just prior to the beginning of episode 3. This is a follow-up. Though it was a close call, the cybernetic Jedi killer survived his encounter with Mace Windu and is continuing his hunt for the Supreme Chancellor. Thanks to codes provided to him by Darth Sidious, he and his droid forces have been able to bypass a great deal of the Republic's security and are about to enter Palpatine's secret bunker. If you have ever been curious about how Palpatine was kidnapped and taken off Coruscant as we saw him at the start of Revenge of the Sith, or just want to experience how unstoppable Grievous is against most Jedi, then I believe you will be entertained by today's video. Once again, this is from Labyrinth of Evil by James Luceno. There isn't much commentary that I can add to this other than to say, well, enjoy the ride. The astonishment registered by Palpatine and his quartet of Jedi Knights assured Grievous that he could not have made a more dramatic entry. A large desk dominated the circular room, and banks of communications consoles formed the circumference. Centered in the curved wall opposite the entrance was a second door. Posing for effect in the polygonal opening, Grievous granted his opponents a moment to activate their lightsabers, force pikes, and other weapons. Also for effect, he deflected the initial flurry of blaster bolts with his clawed hands, before drawing two of his lightsabers. His brazenness summoned the Jedi to him in a flash, but he knew in the first moments of contest that he had nothing to worry about. Compared to Mace Windu, the four were mere novices, whose lightsaber techniques were some of the earliest Grievous had mastered. Behind him rushed his elite droids with a single purpose in mind: to tear into the guards and soldiers arrayed in a defensive semicircle in front of Palpatine. Tall, elegant-looking, dramatic in their red robes and face-masked cowls, the Supreme Chancellor's protectors were well-trained and fought with passion. Their fists and feet were fast and powerful, and their force pikes sliced and jabbed through the near-impervious armor of the droids. But they were no real match for fearless war machines, programmed to kill by any means possible. Perhaps if Palpatine had been intelligent enough to have surrounded himself with real Jedi of the caliber of Windu and the tentacle-headed Kit Fisto, the engagement might have gone differently. Fencing with his four adversaries, for that's all the fight amounted to, Grievous saw 6 of the soldiers and 3 of the Red Guards jolted to spasming deaths by the Magna Guard's double-tipped scepters. One of his elite had gone down as well, but even though blinded and savagely slashed by the guard staffs, the droid was continuing to fight, and those elites still on their feet had altered their combat stances and offensive moves to adapt to the guard's defensive strategies. Grievous enjoyed going against so many Jedi simultaneously. If time wasn't of the essence, he might have protracted the fight. Feinting with the blade in his right hand, he removed the head of one Jedi with the blade in his left. Distracted when his right foot inadvertently booted the rolling head of his comrade, the Ithorian dropped his guard momentarily and received as penalty a thrust to the heart that dropped him to his knees before he pitched forward. Stepping back to absorb what had happened, the 2 remaining Jedi came at Grievous in concert, twirling and leaping about as if putting on some sort of crowd-pleasing martial arts demonstration. For practice, Grievous called 2 more blades from his belt, grasping them in his feet even as the anti-gravel pulsers built into his legs were lifting him from the floor, making him every bit as agile as the Force did the Jedi. With his 4 blades to the Jedi's 2, the duel had come full circle. Whirling, he severed the blade hand of Tal's, then his opposing foot, then took his life as well. Mists of blood formed in the air, swirled around by the ventilators. The 4th he intimidated into retreat by wielding all 4 blades, transforming himself into a veritable chopping machine. Fear blossomed in the Twi'lek Jedi's dark eyes. As she backed away, he had her on the run. Poor thing. But he awarded her some measure of dignity by allowing her to land glancing blows on his forearms and shoulders. The burns did little more than add a new odor to the room. Emboldened, she pressed her attack, but was fast exhausting herself from the effort of trying to amputate one of his limbs, to hurt him in some fashion. And all for what? Grievous asked himself. The timid old man backed to the bunker's rear wall, the would-be champion of democracy, who had loosed his clone army against the merchants and builders and traders who opposed his rule. His republic? Best to put the Jedi out of her misery, Grievous thought, which he did with a single blade to the heart, for it would have been cruel to do otherwise. Elsewhere, his 3 surviving elites were doing well against 5 Red Guards. With time counting down, he waded into the thick of the action. Sensing him, one guard feinted a rotation to the left, then pivoted to the right with his force pike raised at face level. A move Grievous could appreciate, although he was no longer in the space through which the weapon sliced. Using 2 blades, he nipped the guard's cowled head from his torso. The next he speared from behind in both kidneys. Opening the backs of another's thighs, he moved on, disemboweling the fourth. The last guard was already dead by the time he reached him. With a gesture, Grievous instructed his elite to secure the bunker's hexagonal door. Then, deactivating his lightsabers, he turned to Palpatine. "Now, Chancellor," he announced, "you're coming with us." Palpatine neither cowered nor protested. He merely said, "You will be a true loss to the forces you represent." The remark took Grievous by surprise. Was this praise? "4 Jedi Knights, all these soldiers and guards," Palpatine went on, gesturing broadly. "Why not wait until Shakti and Stas Ali arrive?" He cocked his head to one side. "I think I hear them coming. They are masters, after all." Grievous didn't respond immediately. Was Palpatine trying to trick him? "I might at any other time," he said finally. "But a ship awaits us that will take you from Coruscant, and from your cherished Republic as well." Palpatine mocked him with a sneer. "Do you actually believe that this plan will succeed?" Grievous returned the look. "You're more defiant than I was led to believe, Chancellor. But yes, the plan will succeed. And to your deficit, I would gladly kill you now, but for my orders." And there we go. I hope you found it fun. I thought it was pretty cool. It just shows how brutal and ruthless, especially the part with the blood circling around the ventilators. It kind of makes you wonder how powerful Grievous would have been if he was actually force sensitive. I think he would have been pretty unstoppable. Just those 4 limbs alone, those really were an advantage. I also kind of wonder what would have happened if Palpatine had actually convinced Grievous to wait and face the Jedi Masters. Assume that he lost, then the confrontation between Dooku and Anakin would be delayed. The war would carry on with Dooku as still the official leader of the Confederacy. Sidious certainly skirted with disaster there by basically daring Grievous to wait and fight the Masters. But as usual, things turned out very much in Palpatine's favor, despite Grievous's opposite assurances. I also love that little bit of encouragement that Palpatine threw in there, where he was actually, it seems, somewhat taken aback and impressed by how well Grievous fought the Jedi, when he said, "You will be a true loss to the forces you represent." He was indeed praising the cyborg general. It also makes you wonder what would have happened if Anakin had fought Grievous. Do you think he would have won? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Now, fulfill